Hello Sumate, you're welcome back to my channel. So this is the continuation of the shoulder dart tutorial that we're making. So in this part we'll be sewing, okay? So this is where we stopped the last time after cutting the facing for both the front and back. So the next thing we'll be doing now is to go over to the sewing machine so that we can start coupling them together. So you see this part that we've pinned on the shoulder. I showed us how to pin in part 1. If you've not seen part 1, go and watch it, okay? So we're going to, this pleated part on the shoulder, we're going to press it down first before we're going to join it. So you just go ahead and sew it through like so. Just sew it through and make sure that all the pleats, they are facing one side, okay? So I went ahead to measure to the shoulder to see if it's still enough with the other shoulder that is not carrying any slash or any plate, and it was equal. So I will just go ahead and press it down, like just sew it down. So after sewing it down, the next thing we'll be doing now is to go ahead and turn with our facing. So we're going to place it right side facing right side. Then you just place it from the edge and go ahead and just sew a straight line all around. Then after that you go ahead and notch it. And after attaching the facing, when you flip it to the other side, this is what you have. So what I will do now, I will go ahead and fix the back facing. Then I will go off the camera and iron it very well before we can continue with the video. So this is the back pattern. This is the back. So I'm just going to put the facing, it is right side facing right side. That's how we place the facing, okay? So I'm just going to put the facing, then I will run it also the same way we did for the front pattern. Then I will also go ahead and notch it. So you're just going to run a very tiny line at the edge, or according to the amount of allowance you added to the neckline, okay? So you can see how I'm placing it. So you just go ahead and join it. So after joining this part, I will go ahead and join the second facing to the other part of the back pattern. So after that, this is what we have. I've gone ahead to attach the facing to both the front and back. So the next thing, I'll go off camera and iron it quickly. So here I've gone ahead to iron the facing on it very neatly. Can you see what we have? So we're going to separate the front from the back so we can work on the zipper part. So on the back now, you see the part we attached the facing. I'm going to make a little opening because I want the zipper to be in between the facing and the main fabric. So I will just open it a little. Can you see what I'm doing? So that the zipper can fit in. I will go ahead and open the second part also. Then after that, I'll go ahead and mark the 1 inch we added to the pattern for zipper allowance. So I'm going to mark it away on both sides of the back, okay? So you have to take note of all of this so that your work can come out very neatly, okay? So I will just go ahead and mark the 1 inch. We added 1 inch for zip allowance. Then I'm going to place the both backs on each other, front side facing front side. Then I will measure with my zipper to know where my zipper will stop, okay? So I'm just going to use my chalk to mark where I want the zipper to stop on the top. Can you see that part I mark? So from that part I mark, I'm going to run a very straight stitch down to the hem of the top. Now the stitch I'm going to run must not exceed 1 inch also. So I'm pinning the upper part so that it's stable because this fabric is very soft. So on this other part now, I'm going to run it straight down, but it will not exceed the 1 inch we added for zipper allowance. So make sure that any part you're taking, it does not exceed the zipper allowance you added. So you can see me measuring with my tape. I'm trying to measure the 1 inch, so that I will make sure that I do not exceed the 1 inch for zipper allowance. So you just go ahead and sew it down like this. Can you see it? So after that, now we will go ahead and start fixing the zipper to it. So now after sewing it, when you spread it open, this is what you have on the lower part. Okay, can you see? So now we're just going to place the zip. Can you see how the zip is? So now you have to flip it on the other way. You make sure that the edge is facing the center back. If you want to fix your zip like an invisible zipper, that's how you place it. Okay, so you're going to pin it. Now don't forget that I opened the facing from it, so the facing is excluded from what I'm pinning. Can you see it? So now from that part, now I'm just going to run a straight stitch down. After pinning the zipper to the fabric, I'm going to run a straight stitch down, but make sure that your stitches does not exceed 1 inch, because the zipper allowance we have is 1 inch. You can see me measuring the 1 inch to make sure that it's equal. Okay, and the zip is wide enough, and the other extra part is exactly 1 inch. Okay, so I'm just going to use the zipper as a guide as I sew along. So I will just go ahead and sew it straight down. So after sewing the zip straight down, the next thing we are going to do now is to, you see the facing, just flip it on top of it, so you can go ahead and sew it. You run it through. Okay, that part that we're losing up, so that the zipper can fit in, you go ahead and sew it again. Okay, so this facing will be covering the zipper. The zipper will be in between the facing and the main fabric that we are working on. So after that, now the next thing you're going to do, now we're going to repeat the same process for the other side of the top. Okay, so the same way we make this zip, now we're going to make the other zip the same way, but I'll be doing that off camera to save time, because the video is already getting too long. Okay, so I'm repeating exactly the same thing for the other side of the zipper, and this is what we have. So at this time we have to work on the facing part. So I'm cutting the extra allowance from the upper part of the zipper away. Okay, so that it can rest perfectly well. So now after doing that, the next thing you have to do now, just fold it accordingly. Fold it accordingly. Can you see what I'm doing? Just fold the facing inside very well. Arrange it inside. Then you go ahead and press it down on your machine, like you press the edge down so that the facing can be relaxed. Okay, so can you see what I'm doing? Go ahead to your machine. You see how I arranged it? Okay, then you are pressing the facing down, like the edge of the zipper, you're pressing it down. Can you see what I'm doing? So I will repeat the same thing for the other side, so that the neckline area for the back can be very neat. So you can take note of this. It is going to help you cover the zipper edge, and also give you a very neat finishing on that area also. So I'm just going to do the same thing for the other side before we can now go to the next step of the video. If you're still watching at this point, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, comment and share. Okay, so that more people can join us. So now we're going to be joining the front and back together. The first part we'll be joining is the shoulder. So I will put the shoulder together, go ahead and run a straight stitch, joining the front and back shoulder together. So after joining both shoulders together, the next thing we'll be doing now is to go ahead and join both sides. But don't forget the amount of seam allowance you added. I added 1 inch, and I'm just sewing it down with 1 inch for both sides. So after sewing the side seam, when you flip it to the right side, this is what you have. So we're going to measure the armhole round. so that we can get the sleeve ready. Okay, so if you want to attach sleeve to your dress or a top, this is the right way to do it. This way you will be able to raise up your hands freely. Okay, so this is the sleeve pattern that I have. First of all, I will go ahead and mark the seam allowance out of it, which is 1 inch. Then I will now mark the 9.5 that I marked on the armhole line. Wherever it is, I will mark it down. So it means the remaining part of it that I'm notching now is where I will pleat on, because you know it is carrying a pleat. And please, it's because my fabric is not enough, that's why I just have 2 pleats. Okay, so now I will go ahead and fold the lower part of the sleeve first, like I'm hemming it. Okay, so after that I will go ahead and do the pleat on the shoulder part. Now please, you need more fabric. If your fabric is bigger than mine, you should have more pleats. Okay, so that the sleeve can come out exactly as it is. So I will go ahead to pass my loop turner so that I can pass the elastic through the hem we've just made at the lower part, because you know that the sleeve is very free and it has elastic band at the wrist side. Okay, so after passing it, I will go ahead and hem the other part of it down first. Can you see? I'll go ahead and just stitch it so that the elastic doesn't pull off. Then I will measure it. I had already done this for the other sleeve, so I will just carry the other sleeve and measure it to see. I just measure my wrist round to get the volume of elastic I will be needing. So I will use the other one to measure it. So you just determine, pass it around your wrist to know the volume you need, so that it will not be too tight on you. If not, you'll feel comfortable around that area. You'll feel uncomfortable rather. So I'll just go ahead and measure it. When I feel like it's okay, I'll also go ahead and stitch this other side of the elastic down. Okay, so that it doesn't pull away. Then I will cut it out. So after cutting it out now, the next thing we'll be doing now is to pleat the shoulders. No, you're not joining first at this point. We will go ahead and pleat the shoulders. Can you see? So you see the notched part, that's where you pleat. Your pleating should not exceed the notched part. If not, the sleeve will not fit enough. It will not be enough to pass around the armhole, because you know we're working with 9.5 measurements for the armhole. So I'll just go ahead and pleat it. Can you see? It's just 2 pleats I have. Please, like I've said, use 2 yards for this top. If you're making this top, 1.5 is too small. So I'll go ahead and join the side of the sleeve. I'll go ahead and close it up with a 1 inch seam allowance. I will sew it all the way down. Then after that, we can now go ahead and attach it to the main top. So when you're sewing it like this, make sure you don't exceed the 1 inch seam allowance that you added. So after joining it like this, I'll go ahead and tighten it. Then after that, I can now flip it to the right side, like I'll turn the sleeve over to the right side so that we can see what we've done. Then we'll now go to the process of attaching it to the main bodice. Please, that part is very important. If you want to fit your sleeve and you want to be able to raise your hands up, make sure you sew the shirt completely different, you sew the sleeve different before you bring the both of them together. Okay, so what you're going to do now, flip the shirt to the wrong side, turn it to the wrong side. Can you see what I'm doing? So I'll turn it to the wrong side and arrange the armhole and the armhole area properly so that you don't get confused. You see what I am showing us properly. If you're still watching at this point, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. Okay, so you see the part, the joining part of the sleeve, that's the part you will hold. You see the joining on the inside, so you put it inside like this, then you turn it, just drag it in, don't drag it in completely. Okay, so from the joining now, you pick the joining of the shirt from the armhole area, then you now make sure that the sleeve joining part and the shirt part, they are meeting. Then the notched part, the mid part of the sleeve, you will pin it straight to the shoulder, the joining at the shoulder of the shirt. Okay, so we'll just go around and sew it round. Okay, we'll go to the sewing machine and sew it round. So when you're sewing, you're starting from the armhole line, you push the joining aside. You're not sewing on top of the joining. Okay, don't sew on top of the joining, so you push it aside. The joining I'm talking about is the allowance at the side of the shirt and the side of the sleeve. You will push those allowances aside. Okay, then you will now go ahead and sew. At this point, the part that I was sewing in was too big, so I had to lose it so that I can start again. Make sure you don't go in too deep so that your sleeve can be able to relax well. Okay, so you place it in like this with the joining allowance, the side seam, they are all aside. Then you sew it. This is how you continue sewing it until you are done sewing it all around. Okay. So after sewing it all around, I will go ahead and remove the pin from the lower part, then flip it to the right side. Then you can see how nice it is. Now there is a pin still at the shoulder part, so I'll go ahead and remove the pin and we're done with the sleeve. So the same thing I did for the sleeve, now I'll go ahead and repeat it for the other sleeve off camera. Then I went ahead to hem the lower part of the top. Okay, you can see it, and at this point it wasn't ironed yet, but we've come to the end of the tutorial and this is the final outcome. You can see that it came out very well. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video. Bye.